Sajak and Vanna White.
And for the star.
At 6:30 every evening, as far back as I can remember, my parents and I would sit in front of the sofa after dinner and watch Wheel of Fortune. It became such a family ritual of sorts that even today, sometimes I still watch Wheel of Fortune with them, and it really did become part of my childhood. It's a fun, wholesome family show that anyone can enjoy.
A group of pill pushers? Good night, everyone! Thank you!
Well, mostly. But surprisingly, I never had any Wheel of Fortune games growing up. It's not that I didn't know they existed, I just didn't get around to playing them, and they were never on systems that I owned. But today there's a ton of them, so let's just stick to some of the older ones. Enter Wheel of Fortune for MS-DOS. Released in 1987 by ShareData, it wasn't anything too graphically impressive. It ran on the yellow, green, and red CGA palette, which, funnily enough, made Vanna look like a Simpsons character. The audio is PC speaker only, so you won't hear any fancy ad-lib or Sound Blaster tunes, but the little rendition of changing keys is admirable enough. You enter your name and spin the wheel. From there, it plays just like a glorified hangman. In this version, the dollar amounts only go as high as 1,000, and there's only one bankrupt and lose-a-turn piece each. The computer players playing aren't terribly bright, and with no difficulty setting, it can get kind of boring playing alone, so it's definitely more fun with other people around. Solving the puzzle is fun because when you guess it right, it plays the Stars and Stripes forever. The final round is the one I'm the worst at, because I'm not much better at solving the final puzzle than most contestants. And it doesn't help that this version of the final puzzle is actually harder than the real show is now. The game came out before the letters R, S, T, L, N, and E were given to you, so you have to choose them yourself. That means you don't get to choose 3 more consonants in a vowel like you can now. Or the Iliad. Oh well, you can't win them all. Next up is Wheel on the NES. This one actually has a pretty good voice sample. Vanna looks much better in this version. At least here she doesn't look like a Simpsons character. Now, instead of the dead simple keyboard controls of the DOS version, you have this letter select screen with the D-pad. Unfortunately, it's really sensitive and slippery, so it's easy to miss the letter you're trying to enter. And to go back, you have to scroll all the way over to the backspace instead of just pressing B. Literally any other button will enter the letter, even if you want to use Start to shortcut to the Enter option. It just types in the letter. Because of that, you gotta be really careful when you're scrolling through the letters. Also, unlike the DOS version, you can actually control how hard you spin the wheel. Press A when the strength meter is where you want it, and the wheel will spin at that speed. I'm playing on easy, because on any other difficulty, the computer just wipes the floor with you. So again, it's much more fun to play with friends over. Bankrupt, shoot! The final round is the speed-up round, where you take turns choosing a letter, and then you try to solve it. I think I got this one. Oh yeah, Prime Minister! When you guess it correctly, Vanna turns the letters, and you can bask in your victory. Last up is the prize puzzle. You choose your prize, pick your 5 consonants, 1 vowel, and you try to solve the puzzle. Since this is before they give you R, S, T, L, N, and E, again, I have to pick them for myself. Now let's see if I can solve this puzzle. And I got nothing. Oh, classmate. I should have known. Well, I guess that cost me the Porsche. Anyway, let's move on to the SNES version. Usually the Super Nintendo would have the best version of most games. And this is the deluxe version. Ooh. Let's see if this really is deluxe. Well, the game starts out with some decent sounding Vanna voice samples.
How many players would you like? Would you like to play against the computer? Please enter your name.
The slippery letter entry is back, but it's a little bit better than the Nintendo version. But this version is just boring. The problem is that everything just moves so slow, even compared to the NES version. Sure, the graphics are impressive enough, but the first round drags on and on and on. The first round alone took 6 minutes. 6. For reference, the NES version took me about 4 minutes to complete the first round. When I originally recorded the footage, the NES version took 25 minutes to record 2 whole games. In the Super Nintendo version, one game took almost 35 minutes to record. That's almost 1.5 times the length for just one game, and I spent most of that time waiting. The problem is, I had such rotten luck. I'd often get bankrupts, lost turns, or just flat out guessed a wrong letter. And because every action takes so long to do in this version, even spinning the wheel doesn't feel fun. It doesn't even seem like it has momentum. It just starts and stops just as abruptly each time.
Choose a letter.
At least in this version, it gives you R, S, T, L, N, and E at the final puzzle. Taking a shot in the dark, I chose D, P, C, and U. Not much help, but I figured it out in the end. And hey, I won a speedboat. Overall, I think this is the weakest Link of the 3, even worse than the MS-DOS version. That one was simple and fun to pick up and play. And I think that speaks to the simplicity of Wheel of Fortune as a video game idea. It doesn't need to be flashy or graphically impressive, it just needs to be a fun pick up and play experience. I'd say play the NES version if you want to experience it. Or the Nintendo Switch version. Anyway, I just wanted to give a little retrospective on the game show that expanded my vocabulary, taught me deductive reasoning, gave me something to look forward to every evening. It made me feel good for a while, even on days that otherwise didn't. This might be a long shot, but Pat Sajak or Vanna White, if you're watching this, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being such a part of my childhood. It's wholesome television, and I love it. So...
Fish love!